Hi, welcome to section number 5. We will talk about handling common file formats using Python. In this section, we'll be learning how to read and write files, text and binary files. Then we will go through a list of common file formats such as CSV, XML, JSON, YAML, Word, Excel, and PDF. And for each of these, we will see what the format properties are and how we can use Python in order to read and write files of the corresponding formats. In this video, we will talk about reading and writing files. So we will talk about the differences between text and binary data once written or read by a file. We will talk again about context managers and see a few useful details that you need to know in order to read and write files. And then we will see a code snippet where I will read and write binary files. So what is the difference between textual and binary data in files? So basically every file is a sequence of bytes, but the way you assign a meaning to those bytes makes the difference. In fact, text data basically is a sequence of bytes that is bound to an encoding and is usually human readable because it's line oriented. An encoding basically is a rule that tells how to blob bytes together in order to be mapped onto human readable character. You can read text data with any file editor, while binary data needs a specific software tool to interpret it and is usually not readable by humans. It could be encoded using hexadecimal formats, and basically you will need an application in order to read it. For example, you have that photos or PDF files, for example, are binary files and therefore contain binary data. Let's recap about context managers. You know from the previous videos that in order to manage a transactional resource, and in this case it's files, we use in Python a Pythonic construct that is context managers. Have you ever noticed that whenever you open a file, you have a mode parameter that basically states the mode, the context in which the file contents will be handled. And the mode can be reading or writing, and you can either write or read text or binary files. So just keep that in mind. Now let's get to the code. Let's try to read and write a binary file. Here I've downloaded for you a nice image of a kitten. What we will do is to use Python to read the bytes contained in this photo. Let's take a look at the code. So basically this snippet opens up the PNG file. I'm using the context manager as said before in RB, which is read binary mode. And what I'm doing here is using the file handler, which I call img, with the read and tell methods. Read reads the specified amount of bytes, 1 in this case, and tell tells me where the reading cursor is inside the bytes amount of the file. So basically it tells you the position, the offset, with respect to the beginning of the file. And I'm entering a while loop that basically cycles over all the single bytes in the file and prints them out. What I'm going to do next is to write a binary file. So I'm writing here an output.png file, but beware that file extensions might not convey the actual content of a file. In this case, the output.png file will contain text data. What I'm doing here is creating a byte array data structure that contains 5 bytes, and each byte corresponds to a specific character if read under the UTF-8 encoding. And so here specifically I'm writing the bytes that compose the word hello. Each letter is a byte. So what I'm doing here is to writing a binary file using the WB mode, and then I'm writing the byte array exactly as it is into the file. So when I do that, that file will contain binary data that I will be able again to read back as text, because I know that can be interpreted as a text using the encoding UTF-8. So what I'm going to do here is to open that file into read mode. This is missing the T because it's a default read mode which reads text data. So here what I'm doing is to read the content of that binary file, and I will just print this out, and you will see that on the console it will be printed a word which is exactly hello. So let's run this file. So the first part basically reads the binary file. Oh, that was very quick. So let's take a look. So I printed out all the single bytes sequentially contained into the kitten photo. As you see, there's a lot of them. Then I wrote again to the output file, which I will show you. So I wrote the hello word into the output.png file. If I try to open it in PyCharm, I get an error because PyCharm thinks this is an image, but it isn't actually because it contains text data. And so if I try to read back again the content and interpret them as a string using UTF-8, I get the word I wrote before. So in this video, we learned about the differences between text and binary files. We went through a quick recap on context managers, and we saw a code snippet that teaches us how to read and write binary file and how to interpret data inside them.